so happy since I've been staying off of social media. Dude, I still see it every once in a while, but like barely. And it's because I just post something, so maybe I'll spend a couple of minutes on it. But dude, with all the election and everything, no way. I'm not spending any time on this thing.
I cannot believe how crazy. Well, I can. I'm bullshitting. I could. Yeah. But it's fucking crazy how people are acting, pulling people out of cars and just physically just assaulting people just because. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bullshit going on right now.
Shit didn't go their way. Dude, I was thinking about this today. I was like, I get it. I get it. All the people that are upset that didn't get their way, didn't get the person that they wanted. I felt like that every single election. Like
Right?
I've never had someone that was gonna win. I've always been like, oh yeah, for sure Ron Paul, for sure Ron Paul. It's like, oh, if you got to pick anyone, Gary Johnson, of course. Like I cannot agree with, but you know what? I just removed myself completely out of politics. So this election, I honestly didn't know much about either. I just knew certain reasons why I wouldn't. I had reasons why I wouldn't vote for one of them for sure. Another one I just didn't care for. But
I'm losing faith, but hopefully from all the chaos, hopefully something sparks anew and we figure some shit out. But
yeah. It's nuts though. It's and dude, I'm definitely guilty of this. But just how we think our opinion is 100% right. Like our opinion is fucking 100% right. There's no question about it. If you question me, fuck you. Get off my page. You're evil. You're racist or whatever. You hate women. Yeah, whatever it is. There's gonna be something about you. And it's because man, the belief system. This is as deeply rooted as religion, because
Just
you're getting
about.
it. Yeah, you're getting it from birth at such a young age, and then through school and everything else. But yeah, man. So you can't. Most people just can't. They'll shut down. They'll just get so angry if you question their beliefs. Dude, I know enough to say, man, I don't know. This is kind of what I think, but I don't know that much. I don't study politics, so I'm not gonna say that much. But holy shit, on social media, it's like fucking football teams. It's like, yeah, man, my team fucking is awesome. Your team sucks. And that was pretty much the depth of most of the arguments. It's like, yeah, my team's better than your team. I'll never vote any other way. It's like I'm always rooting for this team, and I don't know. I'm just glad it's over.
I just to me it's funny how I'm not a scholar. I don't know much, but either way, shit doesn't change either way. It kind of teeter totters one way, something passes here or there, but what's really changing? I mean,
Yeah.
So we'll see with this one. We'll see how bad or how good it gets.
Yeah. No, I'm not expecting much. But whatever. We'll be all right. I'll be all right.
I don't know, Mark. I don't know about this one. I can't. Jesus, I can't do it.
What's that?
I can't do it. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking. I don't really care.
Yep.
Shout out to all the Marines. Marine Corps birthday out there.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about that. We were talking about how most people don't really appreciate that. I mean, maybe that's what I think. There's probably a couple days a year that we think about the military.
Yeah, I mean, I figure it's always in the back of some people's mind, but for the most part, I mean, it is what it is. It's mostly just the Republicans really reaching out and trying to help and increase benefits or whatnot. And I'm not gonna go too deep into it because I don't know anything about it. But I mean, all my buddies were just keep to ourselves and say thank you or thanks for the support. But for the most part, it's only about saying thanks or giving someone a free meal or 10% off here and there once or twice a day or a year or whatever. I don't know, whatever. So I just sometimes feel like, I don't know, it's just one day everyone gets together and gets all rah.
Right.
And for the most part, it's for the wrong reason. I don't feel like a meal or something small like that, 10% off.
Yeah.
Substitutes for anything.
Well, and I was telling you, I think that's it's probably how a lot of civilians view the military or veterans. I think that's what I was doing, and that was with me having an interest in it. Because I kind of was looking at them in the same way as I would look at a police officer or something like that. It's like, okay, that's the job they signed up for. I'm glad that they're doing it. And that's really all I thought about. But if you know somebody, the people that know veterans, if they know what, I think unless you really understand what someone's been through, then yeah, you won't get that kind of respect, or you don't have that admiration. Maybe everyone says it, but yeah, I don't see people acting on it.
Dude, well, for the most part, I really think people mean it. Like they are thankful for the most part. I just don't think they really, unless you have a family member or you served or a grandfather or you have an interest in it, people don't really dive into what's really going on and how young people really are. I mean, I'm young right now. I'm 28, but I look back when I was 18 and 19. I was really, really young. I couldn't drink a beer, but I could carry a gun. And it's simple laws like that I think that'll be a bigger way for people to show their support. You know, how is it that an 18-year-old can have a license to kill pretty much, but he can't drink a beer in his own town?
Yeah, no, that's
crazy. You know, most bars will give him a beer. Let's just be honest, but
yeah,
like small, just small things like that. You know, and I think that'll change. You know,
yeah,
maybe have the enlistment age not be at 18, maybe it be at 22. So you're old enough to drink, you're old enough to make some good decisions. Hell yeah, let's enlist.
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem with that?
Right.
So, I don't know. Going off in tangents.
It's alright. Tangents are fine. It's been a while since we talked.
It's because we don't like each other pretty much. And we're just...
No, dude. I'm
going bald, you guys. I got a patch in my dreads. I'm just kidding.
No, we... I realized we both kind of went on... I don't know what happened. We had our perfect day plan. That's what this podcast was like. Oh, I saw the definition of it, or the info on it, and it's something about creating your perfect day, following your passion, and that's what it was that time, and it helped. We both looked at what we wanted to do. I think we made a 6-month plan or maybe a year plan.
We hit it,
and yeah, definitely hit a lot of them. And then just recently I realized, like, you know what, that perfect day isn't really that perfect anymore because of this. I realized, like, I am enjoying all these things, but I was missing out on Jake. So I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to add him, more time with him back in my life, more time with Olivia and my wife. And so that was good. And then, so just rethinking it. And before I was telling you, I was like, oh, I never want to teach. I never want to teach a class. No way. No, I'm not going to do it. And that's what I told my wife too. But I realized, well, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Let's do it. And then now it's turning out to be fun.
And it's fun and organic. You know, we're bouncing off each other. It's fun. It feels good too. I think we just, at least for myself, we weren't as confident. I mean, at least for me being a blue belt, and I'm like, oh, who am I to teach? Or I'm not going to be the main instructor, but. Dude, it's fun. It's fun now, and I like what we're doing right now, doing the warm-ups, keeping it simple, going back to the basics. So
I think people are digging it. I think I was like, because I definitely questioned my ability to teach, but I was like, there's some cool stuff I could pass on. Like, even if on when you weren't there on Tuesday, I did the stretching, but I ran through the deep breathing, and I was telling them just how important that is, and just for everyday life and what I've got from that. I was like, so even if I just pass that on to them. I was like, then that's cool. I was like, maybe it wasn't the jiu-jitsu, maybe it was just that, or maybe it was relaxing more in jiu-jitsu. But I was like, that was cool to be able to pass that on.
And that's a huge thing. That's one of the biggest things, at least, passing on the breathing. I think you really took to that though, so you could really speak to it, because you even do that with Jakey at night, right? And you kind of settle him down, and so. Yeah. It's good, man. It's good.
Dude, that's the other thing I'm doing with Jake. Okay, so I'm rethinking. I realize we both need to rethink our perfect day. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be picking up Jake at 12:45 or something like that. What am I going to do with him? But I'm going to do yoga with him because he's definitely interested. Whenever he sees you guys, he starts trying to show off with all his crazy
half moon.
Yeah, he doesn't
down
mess
dog.
around. But, just to let him get all that energy out that he has from school still. And then we'll do the peaceful, do the relaxing breathing together. And it's good for both of us. I started giving this to him on a daily basis. I was like, that's awesome. The kid is going to be so well adjusted. And, man. So he's, so that's what I'm planning to do. And we're also going to probably learn a language. I was like, he's been trying to speak some Spanish. I was like, okay, that'd be good for me to learn too. And I'm also going to teach him guitars. I was like, I've been starting to enjoy that a lot, dude. I do it every night now. And I'm actually getting to the point where I feel like I'm creating music. Like, it's awful, but I'm actually trying to put, I'm trying to put stuff together and just playing around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I'm enjoying it enough to do it. But so I'm going to teach him that too. I was like, so you know, and he loves painting. He's making me paint with him every day.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I was
I
like,
like
no,
it.
he loves it, so I'll continue to do it with him. I was like, it's good for me too. Why
It's
not?
huge, man. It's huge.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think as adults we might think we don't want to play with our kids or we can't have fun with them, but it's like no, let them find out what they like and do it with them. If you're doing it with them too, it's like that's so much better than sitting there and trying to watch or sitting there and being on your phone or some shit like that. Like that's terrible. That's not time with your kid.
And Jake's at that age, bro, where you can play, you can wrestle with them, you can go on a hike and not have to worry about him too much. And
Yeah.
you know, it's just he's at that age. What is he, 3?
3.5, yeah.
That's
Yep.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm gonna start doing that, and so it's gonna cut into other time, cut into some writing time, but it's just making me get rid of more, no more time to procrastinate. I was like, I got a shorter window now, and I'm also making the decision to, like twice a week I'll go to the studio, and that's an hour and a half, and then you know by the time another half hour by the time you gotta get all cleaned up or drive or whatever else.
For sure.
So I was like, that's another big chunk. But I was like, that's worth it. I was like, I need that. I was like, if I get 2 days in the studio, if we're doing it together, and then if I'm doing it every night, just a little bit on my own, I was like, my body will be good. I'll be feeling good. I was like, that's what I want for my body. And then the Tuesday, Thursday night class with the jits, I'll do that plus a little bit more. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm gonna do for my perfect day. Writing, I'm not tripping, man. I'm gonna finish unlocking. I'm forcing myself to stay on it until it's finished. I realize I need to. I have all these short story ideas that I love them, and they just keep popping up, and I'm tempted to work on them. Dude, I have them right here, and I tell myself I wrote on it not to take it upstairs because I know it'll be a distraction. And like twice now, they made it upstairs. No, but things are good, dude. So. That's why I want to ask you, like, okay, what do you want to do? Because we talked about before, like, you know, the teaching. You know, it's like, okay, is that something you want to do? Is that something you want to develop? Is developing your brand and putting stuff out there for people to see so people can start benefiting from this, even if it's just talking about breathing. Because that should be, I think you got to factor that in too. It's like, you know, you could help some people. So even if you were just, giving this out for vets, or if it was aimed at vets, think about that. There'd be one positive thing that wouldn't take hardly any of your time and could help so many people. Like, why not? Like, that's something we should film this week.
I think we should probably incorporate stuff like that after the class, or because that's when we're all there. We have time to do something, whether it's a couple minutes or just one instructional pose or one defensive pose, whatever. We'll put out a 15-second blurb, 30-second blurb. Yeah, I like that. But I think for the most part, what I've learned in the last few weeks is like, dude, fuck the grind, man. Like, I have all these opportunities to go to school and go back and get a paycheck while I'm going to school. So definitely going back and doing that, and then having more fun. I think for a while there, I just got into teaching, trying to spread and trying to hit all these MMA athletes and just trying to really, push their yoga. And I realized, you know what, man? You can't push something that guys just aren't ready for or they just won't accept. Now, I can preach, and Hickson Gracie can preach, and anyone can preach, but my experience with fighters is like, they're not having that shit. They're ready to just do their thing. So maybe I'm a little tired of trying to chase and grind them, so I think I got to go back to being a student myself. So I've been doing more yoga at my studio, and then as far as being a student of jiu-jitsu, it's like teaching and then grappling with you is just pretty much all I really need right now, Obviously, I go to HQ whenever we can, but just falling back into the student role, I guess, kind of just taking a step back and realizing, like, all right, becoming I'm only a blue belt. I've only been doing yoga for about 7 years, so I don't have too much experience. There's people out there that got way more experience. So,
well, and also the benefit of that is like how much when you're teaching, how much are you getting out of it? Like, you're not able to do the entire session because whether you're talking or whatever, it's like it has to pull you out of it, especially if you're doing one-on-one attention and all that. So, I think. Yeah, and I think putting yourself in that environment, you probably are pushing yourself a little bit more conscious of things maybe. I don't know. But I enjoy being around other people now.
I enjoy the teaching aspect that we've developed because I just don't feel a lot of pressure. Like the other day, things weren't working out, my car, my van, my home, whatever. And it was nothing for you to just step in and take over. I don't feel like we're worried about our lesson plan. We pretty much stick to the warm-ups, and I think we have a good give and take. Like if I forgot something, you'll definitely mention it, or we'll bring up another good point. So yeah, man, I mean, this is the kind of style of teaching that I like. Like, I don't think I could be the head guy yet. I'm
Right.
not. I don't think I'm out there yet. So this is good.
Well, you are the head guy. That's what I'm calling you. You're the coach. I already told him on the first day when you weren't there. I was like, yeah, hopefully Anthony will come because he's the one I'm learning most of my shit from. He's the reason my he's the reason he's the reason my jits and my clumsiness got improved so much. No, so yeah, no, I think the more. Yeah, I think it's cool, man. And the big thing is Jen loved it, so it's making my wife happy. So
yeah, no,
she enjoys, and she really liked the breathing part I did of class. I was like, she told me afterwards, that she really enjoyed it. I said, what? The rest of it sucked? I was like, fuck you. No.
But it's that aspect of us just being silly and fucking around with each other during class to where like I think it works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like because me and you want to train either way.
Yeah,
without the podcast, without anyone watching. I mean, me and you gone at it for an hour, just good training, 2 hours. So we're going to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can, show some super white belts or some females how to just do some basic shit like mount, get out of triangles, arm bars, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
But dude, I'm doing it for me too. That's what I'm saying about like how I feel about my knowledge. I might know some of these things, but I don't know the move, and I don't know how, like there's so many things I can improve, and that's what I was saying. Like we talked about with yoga, how you can always improve, and I totally get that. I was like, it'll never get easy. I was like, I'm always going to be able to stretch more. I'm always going to be able to, just go a little bit harder. But with jiu-jitsu, like all the fine little things that I'm just now seeing, I was like, oh man, and just knowing that there's so many more.
Oh man,
and so like I dude, lots of times I feel like a white belt. I'm like, yeah.
I think that's what we're supposed to feel like.
Yeah, that's
can't imagine not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the way I look at Eddie and all these guys, and John Jock Machado, and getting his Coro belt from Hicks and Gracie, like, god damn. I think we're supposed to feel like white belts, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's insanity.
Yeah. Someone asked me the other day how long it would take. Maybe it was Nato, about how long it would take to get to black belt. I was like, I don't know. I was like, who knows if I'm even going to be training then? I was like, but I think I do. I think I would. The intention now is that I'll stay with it, and maybe it's going to take 8 years. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be faster. Maybe I'm going to actually apply myself. Right now, I'm not applying myself.
But we asked each other, what is a black belt? Is it someone that trains for more than X amount of years, or is it knowledge based? Especially in jiu-jitsu, man. Like, or in jiu-jitsu, we have levels of black belts. We have real black belts, or like high level competition black belts, or are you a old school teacher black belt from the 90s? And there's several different variations, so it's hard to constitute what it is and what isn't a real black belt nowadays so
yeah, I think my goal is to get onto EBI. I want Eddie to have like a masters division, a fat guy masters division.
Fat guys, what are you talking about?
Or maybe not. It's not. Is it masters? What's the one above masters? Seniors? I think I'm a senior.
Dude,
now.
You're only 40.
44. Yeah.
You're still. I'd round down.
There aren't too many people at that age. Jen's competing first time, 40 years old.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, so her husband won the Gracie.
Oh, the blue,
now purple belt at 44, going against guys half your age, dude.
Yeah, they were.
You don't give yourself enough credit, man.
Yeah, no, I should, and I've realized that too. I was like, because if I don't give myself credit, then I'm not giving those guys any credit.
Yeah, or your doctor who was shooting you up with.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. X. Yeah. That's what.
Yeah. X guard, Dr. X guard. No, I'm fucking with him.
I know.
We're eating clean, drinking kombucha and watermelons.
Yeah, dude. If I'm gonna be on EBI, then I gotta get my shit together. Drop down 205. Grow some new knees.
Oof.
No,
but Gary Tony will still fuck us up because he just won the 205.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. But you know what? I love telling people that too. I love standing next to someone. Kyle from the gym. He was my so a high school buddy. You know, I see him on and off like the last 20 years, but he's always seen me as a big tough guy. And Kyle's standing right next to me, and I was like, George, I was like, look at, like, who do you think would win in a fight? I was like, because I'm telling you, he's gonna get hold of my legs, and something's gonna tear. Like,
he's gonna rip you apart.
Yeah. So I was like, don't underestimate anybody, man.
Although you probably keep going. If there's one person I wouldn't want to.
if it tore, I think I would have to. At that point, you would have to.
Yeah, there's no turn back.
Yeah. I was, I'm writing the final chapter of Unlocking, finally, and I swear it. But I was writing about Leslie Smith and when her ear, when her ear exploded. So it was the cauliflower ear. It exploded. It was gross. She wanted to keep going. And afterwards, she said, "Yeah, she's like, in a heartbeat, I would trade my ear for a win." Like,
what a gangster!
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Wow.
She is. But dude, what impresses me the most with her is just how she's just that gangster with everything. Like speaking up for the fighters union. She went to North Dakota and was part of the protest on the pipeline. Yeah, so she's awesome.
Oh man, that pipeline. I mentioned I'm going back to school, right? I'm getting into welding. Dude, that is all the fucking rave right now. Really? It's just to get in there and make all this money and to be a welder on the pipeline, dude. It's crazy.
So is that what you want to do? Would you want
I'm conflicted, man. I'm conflicted, dude.
I don't know, man.
I did some research, and it's going over some pretty beautiful, lush land, and it's gonna spill. It's gonna spill. It's not a question of if. So, I don't know if I want to be a part of that, but I see it as like the new railroad almost. Like, fuck.
Well, I'm asking even, do you want that for your job? Do you want that? No. Do you want to do that?
No.
40 hours a week?
No, of course
not. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Maybe not even 40 hours a week. Maybe only 20 hours a week because you're getting paid. So what do you want to do? Like, what is your perfect day? And does it, like, is that part of your path?
Yeah, I know now. Now it's just shifted. A lot shifted. I've always been, handy. So like, just looking to get into some kind of fabricating stuff. And like I said, welding. And I went down to the school actually and talked to some welders, and all of them were like, I asked them, do they smoke marijuana in California? I know it's legal. And they said, yes, it makes us weld better. Really? So I'm like, oh, wow. He's like, oh yeah, dude, you get way into the zone. Yeah. He goes, you line up your bead. He's like, you make sure your art. He's just making sure everything's on point. And I realized, no, we're not just working metal here and making money. There's such an artistic aspect to it. That's cool. Where they said like, this dude, I watched the video on YouTube. I forgot the name. This country tough dude talk about welding, and then he goes, yeah, but when you put the hat on, the helmet goes over your face. It all goes black, and you see that spark. He goes, it's almost like weld or like yoga, just more manly. I just started laughing. I'm like, dude, no, it's the same thing. He goes, you kind of in your zone, nothing else matters, and you're just breathing and staying on a straight line. And I'm like, dude, you nailed it, man. So
that's cool.
Yeah, man, just finding yoga or finding some beautiful artistic shit and everything you do is kind of what I want to go for now. And
see, that's awesome. I wouldn't have guessed that at all. I think I've never thought that about welding. Yeah. Yeah. I was just, that's cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So, like you said, I think the biggest thing is we're just shit shifts. Yeah. It's just moving and shifting, and we're gonna be growing.
Yeah. Who knows what it's going to be in another 3 months, 6 months. And I think having that, being flexible like that, I mean, that's huge.
The way to go. I mean, you mentioned Livy liking hip hop, and you said she was doing volleyball now, and that could switch to softball in a couple of years, or that could switch to, who knows what's going on, So can't get tied up to one thing, can't want to be superstars, can't live through them, or, Yeah, no, I'm not even a parent. What am I talking about?
That's good advice. But I tell them that all the time. I'm like, it's like, you do this until it's not fun anymore, and then stop pursuing it. So I think so. But right now, I think right now that's what I was telling my wife. I was like, okay, all I want to do right now is spend time with the family, write, and do activities that are stimulating my body and mind. I was like, other than that, I'm good. And I think we probably should go because we have to go teach a class, right?
It's actually only 7:00.
Yeah. I think you need to change your shirt, and I need to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Oh, no.
You stink so bad, and you're just like, you're mad at your friend. Like, dude, why didn't you tell me? But
No, I didn't notice, but I also can't smell.
Jesus Christ.
That's a yoga thing, right? You're supposed to smell, aren't you?
No, I just forgot to put. I used
Oh, okay.
deodorant. I'm not with the crystals and the
Okay.
No, I don't do that.
All
I
right,
just
yeah.
forgot today. I'm just.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not there
That's
either.
all.
Okay, so the story for today, let's do that. Oh, dude.
Really quick, I
yeah.
want to mention Marine Corps birthday, Joshua Harris. Just want to say that name. Dude passed away not too long ago, and he was a good dude. So, Joshua Harris. Just want to say that. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
That's right.
Yeah, this is the only one that we have that has that's written. Oh, there's Jakey. What's up, buddy? You got what? Oh, you got a splinter?
Yeah.
Oh no, do we need to get it out?
I need you to do it.
Okay, we're wrapping up right
We're
now.
done.
We're done, bud. Here, so I'm just gonna tell what the last story is. Hey, do you want to? Hey, this one's in honor of veterans. Can you say to feed an army?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Say it right into here.
Feed army.
To feed an army. Until he joined the army, Private Edwards had only seen the jungle on TV. He wasn't prepared for the heat, and the air was so damn thick you could practically sip it. It hadn't rained in days, but everything just stayed wet. Edwards had been moving all morning, alone on the run. Even though he'd lost most of his baby fat in basic training, and these 6 months in the shit, Edwards felt just as heavy as he did in high school, when the kids used to point at his white, lumpy stomach and call him Curdle King. The sweat probably added another 5 pounds to his uniform and gear. When Edwards could go no further, he leaned against a tree and threw off his pack. He didn't sign up for this. He didn't want to be a soldier. He just wanted to survive, maybe learn a skill. That's why he'd requested to become a medic. Something moved to his right. Edwards grabbed his M16 and aimed. The sunbeams coming through the canopy played tricks on his eyes. He heard squawks and the distant cry of a monkey. He figured it was nothing, but Rex was still out there. Edwards forced himself to stand. His feet began to tingle, like he'd tied his laces too tight. Something fluttered, a rustling. Edwards wanted to take off running, but he stayed still, scoured the ground for tripwires. There was always something waiting to turn you into wet confetti. It was hard to believe that it had been less than 12 hours since Edwards foolishly thought the real danger was gone. It had been gruesome, but the worst of it was over. Their squad had taken the village and secured a massive food supply. Staff Sergeant Rex doing things Edwards spent the entire night trying to forget. But they were safe and just had to wait for the convoy. They'd be supplied for 3 months. Everyone knew Staff Sergeant Rex was a dope fiend and had issues long before any of them landed in country. But he was their superior, and this was war. No one thought Rex would ever intentionally do anything to jeopardize their lives. There was talk that this was to be his last mission. Maybe that's what sent him over the edge. Or maybe it was the heat. Or maybe he was just an evil piece of shit. Whatever it was, didn't matter. Edwards just wished he could get Rex's knife tricks out of his head. An hour after breakfast, Rex had called everyone over to the open-walled hut where Ornales, Shipley, and Curtis lay sleeping. Edwards was squatting in the bushes, halfway through a shit that was more of a spray. He almost yelled he'd be right there, then noticed no one else was hurrying. Jennings was last to join the group, his hand holding his stomach. Neither Rex nor Jennings said a word to any of the men still sprawled on the floor. Nothing special happened. There was no provocation. Rex just started blasting. Jennings and McKinney, headshot, headshot. Everyone else got one in the chest. The entire squad, dead, in seconds. Tendrils of smoke curling from the barrel of Rex's gun. That shit saved Edward's life. But he knew he had to keep moving. If he didn't, he'd end up like the others, So Edwards started running again. He didn't check for traps or hiding gooks. All those drills and training evaporated in the clammy mist. Sweat cascaded down his back and legs, dripped into his socks. He wiped his forehead and a chill ripped through him. A wave of nausea stopped Edward short, and he doubled over in pain. Invisible hands were twisting his guts like they were wringing a wet towel. It was just like the time he'd had a bad oyster on vacation with his folks, his stomach cramping so hard he saw stars. But he'd barely touched the powdered eggs for breakfast, and last night he'd only had coffee and cigarettes. Unable to eat after watching Rex's wet work. Another sharp abdominal pain dropped Edwards to his knees. The M16 fell from his hands, and he grabbed his throat. It was closing up. He gasped, but just barely. Something was moving near him, crunching over branches. He reached for his gun, but fell onto the muddy leaves. He didn't even try to get up. He just curled into himself. His rifle lay a few feet away. Sweat rolled into his eyes, and he realized he couldn't blink. Something awful was coursing through his veins. A spider or bug must have crawled into his clothes. He hadn't felt anything bite him, but that had to be what happened. In training, they'd given him a little book of dangerous insects, but he'd lost his the first week. Edwards tried to sit up, but he couldn't move. It was like he'd been filled with cement. If the enemy found him like this, he wouldn't even be able to turn over. He'd just have to stare into his executioner's eyes. He prayed it wasn't anyone that had escaped the village. He knew what they'd do to him. Now everything was black. His eyelids finally shut. He listened to the crunching steps coming closer. Closer. He struggled to look, but only a sliver of light came through before another round of darkness. He could hardly breathe. He prayed the birds were drowning out his sickly wheezing. He listened for the steps, wondered if he'd hear a growl or voice before the inevitable, but the crunching steps were growing faint. Whatever or whomever was angling off. Edwards figured he must still be hidden. His paralysis might actually be a blessing. He'd have been spotted. Tiny pinpricks jittered up and down his fingertips, then hands and wrist. It wasn't much, but his thumb was starting to bend. Maybe laying down was slowing the poison. The pinpricks were becoming more painful, but at least a sense of feeling was coming back. If the poison passed, Edwards could get to his pack. There was a vial of epinephrine. Why the hell had he taken off his gear? Again, he tried opening his eyes. It was like lifting a rusted roll-up door on a cargo truck. But he could make out glossy leaves. His vision was still blurred and he couldn't turn his head, but he was sure he was lying next to a slow-moving black stream. He didn't remember a stream before he'd fallen, but here it was, washing over him. He could feel it moving up his hands. It made no sense, but it had to be freezing, because the pinpricks spread over his arms and neck. Edwards tried to tilt his head, to get a little of the water into his mouth. It was so close. A few pinpricks hit his chin. He wanted to scream. Then another loud crunch came from nearby. Another rustling. Edwards hoped it was a small, cute animal, that he'd open his eyes and see a cartoon fawn lapping at the stream. But he remained realistic. His luck, it'd be an anaconda. Then he heard a voice he knew. He'd heard it every day for the last 6 months.
God damn, Eddie. You came all the way out here to take a nap?
Rex's words were mumbled. It sounded like he was wearing a gas mask.
If you wanted to sleep in, all you had to do was ask. You could have invited your friends here, had a sleepover.
Edwards didn't know what the lunatic was talking about. but he was actually relieved to hear the staff sergeant's voice, especially so friendly. Maybe Rex didn't want to be alone in the jungle. Rex could open his pack, inject the epinephrine. Even if it didn't work, he might be able to carry Edwards to the village.
You feeling okay there, Eddie? You're not looking so hot.
Edwards tried to speak, but all he could squeeze out were a few wheezing puffs of air.
I can't hear you, bud. You gotta speak up.
Edwards tried to swallow, and Rex just laughed.
Hell, I'm just fucking with you. You just lie still, buddy. I mean it. Don't move a muscle.
Edwards couldn't see, but it sounded like Rex actually slapped his thigh. Any relief Edwards had quickly dissipated. Edwards curled his fingers, imagined them wrapping around Rex's throat, but he gave up and tried to look in the direction of his pack. He couldn't actually see it, but he hoped that resetting his gaze and quickly looking left might get Rex to stop fucking around and help.
I gotta say, Eddie, for a blueberry piece of shit, you sure can move. I don't know how you made it this far.
Rex started stomping the ground.
God damn, man. I don't know how you weren't flipping the fuck out right now. That shit would be driving me crazy.
Edwards lifted his finger a few inches. He hoped he was pointing at his pack. Black beads of water slid towards his knuckle, then, strangely, crawled up the nail and twisted around his hand, defying the laws of gravity.
I just figured if anyone was gonna finish their eggs, it'd be a big fuck like you,
Rex said.
But I guess I'm lucky. If it had been McKinney or Bartlett, I'd still be running my ass off.
The powdered eggs had tasted almost metallic. Edwards had just assumed that it was the water from Rex's canteen. Now he knew the truth. They'd been poisoned. It's why Rex had been able to take everyone out. Bartlett was the fastest draw in the squad. Rex started cursing, smacked at his skin, and hopped around like he was on fire. A water bead trickled down into Edwards' ear and burned, and that's when Edwards saw the undulating black stream thinning on the ground in front of his face. Little droplets spread out and crawled towards his eyes. It wasn't water. It was ants. And they weren't the kind you find at a picnic. They were devouring Edwards, and there was nothing he could do but blink.
Now, this is an army,
Rex said.
There might be 20 million in this one colony, all working together.
Rex spat on the stream of ants. A few got stuck in his loogie. Others scattered, but they found their way back towards their goal.
Now, that's loyalty. They know what's important. It's not the individual, it's the team.
Rex bent down and lowered his head so Edwards could look him in the eye.
I knew you all were going to talk. You forced my hand.
Rex shook his head.
No, our boys have lost enough, perception-wise. I had to put us on track again, for the greater good.
The M16 lay a few feet away. Edwards tried to fling his arm, but it barely moved. He felt an ant crawling up his cheek and closed his eyes. It gnawed at the thin layer of skin until bits of red light filtered through. Edwards tried to cry out, which sent a battalion of ants into his mouth. He gagged, almost puked. Rex stood, walked over to Edwards' M16, and picked it up.
I am sorry, though. I want you to know that.
He forced a little laugh.
What you wouldn't give for a can of Raid right now, huh?
Edwards swallowed a mouthful of blood and managed to eke out, "Please."
Man, I wish I could, truly. But if anyone finds you, I can't let it get back to me.
Edwards blew out a string of bile and ants. Then he tapped his finger onto his chest. Rex gave a little nod.
Okay, all right. But you gotta do this on your own.
Rex bent down and placed the rifle in Edward's hands. The barrel was just under Edward's chin.
All you gotta do is squeeze.
Edward's finger fumbled for the trigger. Rex told him he was almost there. Edwards dragged the gun a little higher, started to lift his head a few inches. There was a fleeting thought he might be able to take one shot at Rex, but it didn't last long. He stared at what was left of his hand, the tendons and bones. A cluster of ants clinging to some remaining flesh plopped down onto his chest and carried away the meat. Edward's finger started to slide off the trigger, but Rex held him firm, even placed his own finger over Edward's bone.
They're army ants, Eddie, just like you and me.